What's up guys, Cwesolo here, and today I'm going to be answering the question of what kind of computer do you need to make video games? Well, the answer is quite simple. Just get a gaming PC, then you're off to the races. Video done. I guess I'll see you guys in the next video, and be sure to subscribe. Wait, you're probably wanting a more detailed answer, don't you? Well, then to answer this question, we're going to divide this video into three sections: desktop PCs, laptops, and Macs. Yes, we're going to be covering Macs. I know that there are a lot of you guys out there that really like using Macs, so we're going to cover that as well. First things first, desktop PCs. For this one, we're going to kind of split this up into two smaller categories. First, 2D games, and then second, 3D games. If you're going to be making 2D games, your computer isn't going to need to be as powerful due to the lack of 3D graphics or lighting. So let's start with a PC for 2D game development. Really, any processor will work. As long as it's a Ryzen 3 or Intel Core i3 or any processor that's above that, you'll be fine. For the build that I'm showing on screen, you do not need a cooler since the processor already comes with one in the box. Motherboards don't really matter, but RAM does. I suggest 16 gigabytes of RAM at minimum for game development. The speed of the RAM doesn't really matter, but I suggest 3000 megahertz just to be safe. I suggest having an SSD for your Windows installation and for your important programs, and a hard drive to store your projects. Another important part is the graphics card. I recommend a GTX 1650 or an RX 5600 XT. You can put in a bigger GPU, something like an RTX 2060 or GTX 1660 or an RX 5700 XT, whatever graphics card you are wanting, you can throw that in. It'll work fine for 2D, but I'm just saying for the bare minimum, I suggest you have a card like one of these two. So yeah, case and power supply really don't matter that much for game development. Just get something that's from a reputable brand and call it a day. Now, on to 3D. I have two builds here, a lower end budget one and a higher end workstation one. So we'll start with the budget one. I recommend a Ryzen 5 or Intel Core i5 at minimum, with 16 gigs of RAM at minimum. Again, you can up it, get an Intel Core i7 or a Ryzen 7 CPU, you will be fine. With either of those, a bigger processor isn't going to hurt. Same thing with RAM. 32 gigs of RAM, no problem. If you're going to want to play around with DirectX ray tracing, you're going to need to at least get an RTX 2060 to play around with DXR. Now, for the high-end build, I recommend getting a Ryzen 7 or Intel Core i7 or above. So if you want to get a Ryzen 9 or Intel Core i9, completely fine. Just change out the processor and slap it in and call it a day. With 32 gigs of RAM and an RTX 2080 or above. The reason why I'm saying 2080 is because I know right now it's really hard to get a 3080 or a 3090 or something along those lines. The 30 series cards are so unavailable right now thanks to crypto miners and scalpers. Actually, graphics cards in general are really hard to get right now, unfortunately. If you can get your hands on an RTX 30 series card, I would go for it, but if not, a 2080 or a 2080 Ti will serve you very, very well. For this build, you'll really be able to play around with DXR and really get to play around with the 3D graphics and everything. If you find yourself 3D modeling a lot, you can easily swap out the 2080 or 3080 for a Quadro RTX 4000, 5000, 6000, or 8000. Since Quadros have certified drivers, they are better for 3D modeling and animation. However, the cost of a Quadro is significantly higher. Just the cost of a RTX 4000 is like $1,000. And if you want to go with the high-end one like the 8000, it's a $5,000 graphics card. Not something I'd recommend for game development, but if you find yourself 3D modeling a lot, maybe picking up the RTX 4000 might be useful. If you're looking to get a pre-built desktop PC, just keep track of the specs that I have mentioned here. Kind of look at the builds that I have on PC Part Picker, which are going to be in the description below. And try to find specs that are similar to that. You may not find something that's exactly like the specs, just as long as it's relatively, like I said, Ryzen 3, Intel Core i3 for 2D, GTX 1650 or above, for 2D, or for the 3D stuff, again, 1660 Ti, RX 5700 XT, or RTX 2060, something along those lines. Just find a build that fits those specifications and go for it if you're looking to get pre-build, if you don't want to get your hands dirty with the building a PC yourself, which I strongly recommend doing. It's a lot of fun, and honestly, you'll be proud of yourself after you get done building your PC. Anyways, on to laptops now. Again, we're going to be splitting this up into two sections, first being 2D games and the second being 3D. Generally, with laptops, anything with a decent processor and a discrete graphics card will do you just fine. Be sure to have a separate GPU that's not running on an Intel or AMD integrated graphics. If that's the case, you might have a rough time making games on your laptop. Anyways, for 2D, I have a strong recommendation for you guys. The Microsoft Surface Book 3. The laptop has a discrete graphics card depending on how you kit it out on their website, and it can be turned into a tablet, and it arguably has the best drawing pen on the market for Windows computers. Using the pen and the laptop and tablet mode will allow you to draw your artwork in Photoshop or any digital art software of choice. It's an awesome laptop. However, it is quite expensive. Generally, any 2-in-1 laptop will do you just fine for 2D game development, as long as it has a discrete graphics card. For 3D, my recommendation is to get a gaming laptop. Typically, these laptops have GPUs that are capable of not only playing games, but developing them as well. Not only that, but most of them have 8 to 16 gigabytes of RAM and a decent processor in them also. Unfortunately, laptops are not as powerful as their desktop counterparts. However, they can be used as a good companion with your desktop, especially in the case with the Surface Book, where you can use it as a drawing pad for your artwork for your games, which is pretty awesome. You can have it on Photoshop, draw your artwork, and then with Creative Cloud, have it on your desktop. It's great. It's awesome. I use it that way. It's great. Just Surface Book, I love it. I personally have one, so that's why I have such a great outlook on that laptop. But there are plenty of other good laptops out there that would do you just fine for 2D and 3D game development. You just got to look around a little bit. But that was my main recommendation for you 2D guys out there, or anyone really needing to do artwork for their games. A Surface Book is great. Instead of getting a Wacom tablet, which might actually be cheaper, but if you need a laptop and something that you can do artwork on, it'll serve you great. I'm telling you. Now then, on to Macs. There are 2 reasons why I'm including this in this video. One, a lot of people like to use Macs, and I mean a lot. Macs are essentially like the creative platform. Like if you are doing photo, like editing, video editing, stuff like that, the creative type people like to use Macs, and that's one reason why I have it in this video. And another reason is if you want to port your game or make your game for Mac or iOS, you're going to need a Mac. Unfortunately, Apple is very, very just locked down on their stuff, and you need a Mac if you want to port to iOS or Mac OS. I'm sorry, it's just how it is. Apple is ridiculous. Sorry. I wish it wasn't that way, but it unfortunately is. But yeah. Anyway, for MacBooks, I recommend getting a MacBook Pro. With the Pro, you have some good options. If you're going to go Intel, make sure it has a discrete GPU. If you're going with Apple Silicon, get the one with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Note that as of this video, Macs with M1 processors in them is only in the Mac Mini, MacBook Air, and the 13-inch MacBook Pro. The 16-inch MacBook Pro, any of the iMacs, and the Mac Pro do not have the M1 processors in them yet. Apple has not made any of them with an M1 in there yet. They're all Intel-based still. So unfortunately, if you are looking for an M1 iMac, it doesn't exist yet as of this video. If you are watching this in like 2023, it might exist and it might be worth getting. I don't know. If you are looking for a desktop solution, the iMac will treat you well. Just make sure that you're kitting it out with 16 gigabytes of RAM at minimum, and again, a discrete graphics card. The iMac Pro and the Mac Pro are not worth getting for game development, in my opinion. The base price of them is both $5,000, and that personally, to me, is too much money for a computer. Granted, they do have professional features such as ECC RAM and high core count processors and workstation-grade GPUs, but for simple 2D or 3D game development, I would not recommend these 2 computers. The new Mac Mini, on the other hand, has the same processor as the M1 MacBook, and it is cheaper, which is great if you're wanting the same performance as the new MacBooks and have a monitor and keyboard and mouse on hand, and it is a wonderful option. Overall, I do not really recommend using Macs for game development, but you totally can if you have a Mac or you want a Mac. Like I said, the Mac Mini, if you're porting to Mac OS or iOS and you just need a Mac to do it, the Mac Mini, the new M1 Mac Mini is the way to go, for sure. I'm telling you, it's great. So, to wrap this video up, I highly recommend using a Windows PC for game development. I have included some specs to look out for when you are buying a pre-build or a laptop. If you want to build your own PC, I will have some builds on PC Power Picker in the description below for you to go check them out and change as needed. Also, if you're liking the content on this channel, please do subscribe for more game development content. Also, if you like the video, leave a like. It would really help me out and help the YouTube algorithm know that you guys are loving my videos and to recommend them to other people, which would be great. Another thing, The Amazing Ball, my game, now officially has a Steam page. I'll have a link in the description for you to go check it out if you would like to wishlist it. That would be awesome if you did, and I would just really appreciate it if you could go wishlist my game. That would be great, and I might have to find you and give you a hug. Actually, I can't do that, but I will give you a digital hug if you go and wishlist my game. All right? Digital hug is waiting there for you. All right? And yeah. So I will see you guys in the next video. And yeah. Also, go check out my coding series if you want to learn how to code in C# in preparation for some Unity tutorials. So if you want to learn how to use Unity, you might want to go learn how to code in C# first. So go check out the card in the right-hand corner to go check out that. And yeah, I think that's it. Also, if you want to go check out my other video on 5 software that every game developer needs, also go check that out. There'll be a card up there as well. If you're just getting into game development, that video might help you out just a little bit after you building your nice, beautiful new PC to do game development after this video. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.